Hiya, I'm Marcus from All Ages Airsoft, and today we have a bag of gun. Please don't ever do this to me because you will get charged more, purely because I've now got to work out what's missing on top of what's wrong with the gun. So we have what appears to be probably a Cyma two-tone upper body, a Octa Arms upper receiver with a tight bore barrel. That I would say is Aries. One of my really old All Ages Airsoft stickers with a stock, which appears to be a Cyma. A Aries gearbox, some bits from an Octa Arms, magazine catch, some various bits, pins, we'll get all these out, another barrel, sling mount, magazine catch, missing the spring, yeah, and a handful of screws. And a couple of other odds and sods that really aren't applicable to anything. As I say, don't do this to me, because that's just lunacy. Right, we have already tried putting a battery to this, and we heard a pop and some smoke came out of the FCU. So there is certainly a problem with it. Fortunately, I have a brand new FCU. So we are going to get this gun apart and see what horrible things I'm going to find inside it. He's already had a go at stripping it, and obviously got to the stage where he cannot strip it any further. Leave this to the professionals. It's what we do for a living. And as I say, it makes my life even more difficult trying to figure out what's missing. And source the parts that are missing. And of course it's Aries, so nothing's going to be easy. Wiring around the wrong way. So somebody's definitely been inside here other than me, because I don't ever put wiring in that way. They both come the same way. New pole motor, it wouldn't have had that as standard. Only one screw in the grip, and the wrong screw at that. And the best bit is, this guy would like the gun, look, even a self-tapping screw. So completely the wrong screw. That should be an M3 machine screw. Yep, definitely an Aries gearbox. Somebody's attacked it. Alright, let's get the spring out first, just to make life a little bit easier for me. Won't be that one, will it? So I need to find right, so we're gonna take the spring out of this. That doesn't feel good. Right, we've got, there we go. He hasn't even done the gearbox up. There we go. Right, it springs out. Right, this came to us as a bag o' bits. He's given us all the bits, but initially this was an Octa-Arms. Long-barreled Octa-Arms Aries. I think we can tell that by one. Octa-Arms are the only people that Aries do. So that, and the fact that this has got a Aries FCU system. So we're going to start by just taking the circuit board off, because I want to see what nasties are on the circuit board, if any, to begin with. There we are. Nothing looks nasty there. There's nothing here that's standing out and saying I am the problem, but there was a definite, when we connected the battery, very definite pop. As I say, it doesn't matter too much because we've got a brand new fire control for it. Being an Aries, it's a magnetic fire control, as well as one of the gears being a magnet. That's wrong. This screw here is one, probably that one there, because that shouldn't be sticking out, which goes to show somebody's been inside here who didn't know what he was doing. As I say, if you don't know, leave it to the professionals, because you will cause a lot more damage, even to the stage here. This screw is not meant to be sticking out. That was probably compromising one of these wires, which is where the pop might have come from. You've got to, these are extremely important that you get the screws in the right order and in the right place. Otherwise you can cause all manner of problems. And being an electronic fire control, they're even less forgiving. Right. A little bit of sign of overheating here and down here. I can't see anything major, but there was definitely a pop and a smell, and it didn't come from the motor. So, but the fact that these screws, one screw missing here, that's okay. This screw's too long, and this screw is definitely too long. That's not a good sign. That goes to show that this has been stripped, and there's evidence that the screws have been attacked by probably the wrong size screwdriver as well. Have a route around. I might have to find some screws and possibly cut a couple of them down to have the correct size in here. We're definitely going to put a new FCU in it. Part of the problem is this customer wants the gun for Sunday. It is now Tuesday. I'm hoping I don't have any problems finding any of the other parts to have this gun operational. Right. Right, there's the trigger. Nothing too... Oh, here we are. Now we're starting to find problems. That's metal. That is a tooth for something. I bet you that's sector gear. Nothing wrong with that. One shim on it, that's not correct. That piston O-ring's been changed. No compression whatsoever. Nothing at all. Somebody's had this apart, replaced the gears with the correct set of gears. I don't see where that tooth's come from. That's definitely a tooth. There's nothing here. Okay. Well, that I wasn't expecting. The screw holes in there look slightly iffy. I might helicoil those. So, right, at this stage, I will have to call the customer up and suggest that complete rebuild, new FCU, and we will go from there. Stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching. Hiya, I'm Marcus from All Ages Airsoft, and today we've got the second part of the Bag O' Bits gun. We've spoken to the customer, explained what he needed, and we're cracking on. I've already assembled the gearbox, re-shimmed it. One bush you could physically shake hands with the gear in the bush, so we've replaced that. I've also replaced the piston head because it had absolutely no compression whatsoever. So we've changed that and put a King Arms vented piston head in its place. And now we've got a brand new ECS trigger control system for it. Genuine Aries one, because the old one is burnt out. So we've got our bag and we've got the magnetic detector because these are a magnetic system. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the actual circuit board in. Fortunately, these come as a kit and they come with a very good kit in all fairness. All you've got to make sure you do is get the correct selector plate for... Oh, these ones only come with the M4 version. There are a couple I've seen that have come with a version for the Scar as well. And obviously you need to make sure you get it either front or rear wired. I find bending the wires a little bit helps immensely with getting everything the way you want it. Now, one thing you do need to watch out for on this side, the inside of the circuit board, there's a micro switch. That's your trigger switch. You need to make sure that that is set properly with the trigger, otherwise you can damage it. So we've got that, and in here we've got the screws and a little insulator. That insulator must go in. Highly, highly, highly important. It is an absolute pain in the butt to get in, but it must go in. And it comes like this. This piece you don't need. That is your insulator. And if you look at the way the gearbox is, that is going to go like that way. And as I say, it is really, really bloody fiddly. But it is really, really important that it goes in correctly. Right. I find laying it roughly where you want it and then moving it around with a small screwdriver, trying not to damage it, is normally the best way to go, and also removing all of the original stuff helps. There we go. There we go. There's that bit. This is quite a fiddly job. There we go. That's the insulator in place. So then the board sits in like that. I normally sit it out to the front of the gearbox and then pop it in to the correct location, like so. And before I put the screw in, I hold it with my thumb and just check that, one, it's activating the micro switch, and two, it isn't jammed underneath, which would damage it. And then we get out the screws. Now, word of warning, they only give you 4 brand new screws. That's one thing I didn't want. They only give you 4 brand new screws. So you have to be very careful when you are replacing one of these, that you save some of the screws. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems. There we go. Once you've got one screw in, you can relax a little bit. And get the others in. They don't have to be graunched up tight. I normally just sort of nip them up. You really don't want to lock them up massively tight, because you can damage the circuit board. You can damage that insulator which is sitting underneath it. There we go. So that's one side. Now I'm going to get the wiring through these really handy tracks that they've put in. So we've got essentially 3 wires that have got to go this way. Your main earth, your power, and your motor power. So I always put the power to the board in first, and very carefully push it down. This is where another thing you have to watch out for. This screw, I know we're missing one screw here. The bag of bits didn't have a screw, and at the moment I haven't got any spares. There's normally 2 different lengths of screw. The short one always goes in this front bottom screw hole. The reason why it's got to be the short one is if you use the long one, you're going to compromise this cable and cause a dead short. So you must have the short one. As you can see here, this screwdriver tip is not touching a screw. The other screw, if you look, doesn't protrude into this cable run. It's on the other side. So that could be a normal long screw, but this one must be the short screw. So that's going to sit like that. So now what I tend to do is run that earth cable, and again just push it in carefully, take your time with it. There we go. Like so. It gets a bit tricky here because the wires are soldered together, but you've got to get them all in. Right, I'm going to pop that one in. There we go. Push it in, try not to get it compromised. Otherwise you're just going to cause yourself even more grief. There we go. I'm not too concerned that the earth wire appears to be a bit longer on this one, because we are going to be converting this over to Dean's. There we go. And then that wire sits there. Just trying to... Another bit you need to watch out for is this little groove here. There's another one on the other side. The grip itself, these two little location tabs slip through there. So what you really want is to make sure that these are sitting low enough that they're not going to cause a problem there. Right, and then this side goes in and sits in there. The only thing I'm going to try and do, there we go, push that in, there we go. Yeah, that's it. That's the wiring taken care of. Now we need the safety, which is your selector lever as well. And in our bag of bits, there should be the actual safety activator itself, which is that. Now, this little part on the circuit board, this little resistor here, is the... Right, this little resistor here is actually a sensor. Now, that matches with this tiny little magnet. And this is being an Aries gearbox, we've actually got two magnets in it. One is in the sector gear, and that is essentially the same thing as that. And that is what tells the gun what mode it's in, this magnet. So that again is something really, really important. There we go. So that would be fire, that would be off entirely. I don't understand how it works. It is electronic, but trust me when I say it works. Right, now all we have to do is find the correct screw for that. I believe it's one of these. No, it isn't. We don't appear to have the screw for that. That's a pain in the butt. Where's the motor? Check to make sure. No. Right. I am going to have to find a... there it is. I see it. There he is. Very specific shouldered screw. It's an M2 and it's got the shoulder because it's needed to secure the safety. There we go. Just nipped it up. Right, turn it over and now we need to secure this board. Just have a quick check, make sure that there's nothing there saying, oh, I'm a problem, like a bent pin. And very carefully pop it on, push it on, and that sits in this groove here. There's a hole in the gearbox that matches up with the magnet on the sector gear when it's turning. And then all we do is pop another 4 of these tiny little M2 screws in. And again, you don't need to do them up that tight. I think we're out of them. Because again, this gun was a bag o' bits. We are missing quite a few parts. Oh, hang on, there's a couple of screws on this one that we can use. Always keep the original parts. I try and give them back to the customer at the end of it. Right, there we go. Quick check, that's working. That's working. And if we put it into safe, trigger's not working. So that's the gearbox assembled. So, next, I could take the chamber, the complete gearbox, just bend the wires so they're pretty straight, don't have to be perfect. Now we've got a special collar here that is designed to keep the gearbox aligned. Right, now it is time for that. There we go. There we go. Right. Main trigger pin. And the fabled Aries rear pin. Right. So, at least now that's the basics back together. Right. I don't know if this is the original grip for this gun. Probably not, but it's the one that came with the gun. Now, again here, we're just going to make sure. Yep, that's gone on nicely. If you feel any real resistance, stop. You need to, because otherwise you can damage the wiring. And now we're coming up against our first major issue, not enough screws. Right, okay, so it didn't have the grip screws, but through the magic of movie magic, we've got some screws. So I'm just gonna pop this back together. There we go. A lot of people ask me why I use such a ridiculously long screwdriver, and the simple fact is this is probably my most important tool. It's magnetic, although it is getting on a bit now, It's a Halfords, and without it I can't do my job because it's just the right length to do stock tube screws, which are primarily Phillips head. And because it's so useful, I tend to use it for absolutely everything. I'm not over tightening these because these have a insert system for the screws, and they are notorious for stripping, and they're a real pain in the butt, and I'm out of helicoils. Right, so we need to have a look at this. I think what we're going to do, the red is going to sit here, go across and over, and the black is going to come in from the opposite side. The great thing about this wiring is it actually more or less stays where you put it, which is absolutely brilliant. It makes my life so much easier. Right, so we're going to have red at the top pointing to the front, and the black is going to be at the rear. Nice free movement, which is what we want. Earth is going to go on first. There we go. And then the red is going to go like that. Okay, right, okay, so we need to get that bent and into position. Right. There we go. Now we need that. Right, now we need 2 screws. And oh, itch. Right, and now we are at the testing stage. Now, another point of contention. These are 11.1 ready. They are not programmed to 11.1. I've got one, I haven't got it right by me at the moment. We will do a separate video on this. You can program them to 11.1. On the special programming box, you have a switch that will say NiCad, nickel metal hydride. Next one will be LiPo 2 cell, and the one immediately below it will be LiPo 3 cell. So you can set these because it's all to do with the wave signs of the batteries and the power they put out. If you do not set that correctly, you can blow the circuit board up before you even muck about with it. So my advice is, if you don't know, run 7.4. And if you're that concerned and you want to run 11.1, take it to a shop. I don't charge anything for programming. It's a 30-second job. But that's the best way to do it. So at the moment, all I'm going to be running is a 7.4 LiPo for testing. So I have a 7.4 volt LiPo. We're in safe. Here we go. Right. We've got no full auto. So I might have to find my programmer. I will be back in a minute. Hiya, I'm Marcus from All Ages Airsoft, and today we've got part 2 of the Bago gun, which is essentially a gun I've just completely rebuilt. It's an Octa-Arms, well, an Aries Octa-Arms with a Aries programmable gearbox, and we got it up to the stage where we were testing it at the last one, but for some unknown reason it is semi-automatic only. So now the next thing is to program it with a Aries programmer. So I'm just going to remove the stock. We've already got this on Dean's, and this is a perfect opportunity to show you how to use an Aries programmer. Got the programming instructions there, but I'm going to show you how to use it. These are really, really simple. Remove the side covers, and if you can see here, you've got basically 4 settings: safe, semi and auto, safe, semi, 3-round burst, safe, 3-round burst, auto, or semi-automatic only. So what we have to do, you also have AEG on one side, battery on the other. So you will plug the battery in this side and the AEG on the other. We've got battery type: nickel metal hydride, 2-cell LiPo or 3-cell LiPo. Really important to get correct. This is how you will set it. And then when you're ready, you will press that, which will program it. So at this stage, as far as I'm aware, the customer's going to be running 7.4 volt LiPo. So I've set it at 2-cell LiPo. And at this stage, I have no idea where this is going to be because the lights will show me on here. So I'm going to plug it all in and then we will go from there. Right, so I need my Dean's Titania. And I will plug the gun in like so, and then I'm just going to plug in a charged 7.4, and at the moment we are safe, semi and automatic, which is just where we want to be. So I'm just going to press this. I normally do it 4 times. There we go, we're done. That's it. That's it programmed, in theory. Right. No, we've got another problem because it is only doing semi-auto, no matter what I do. So this has got a brand new fire control. So I'm now just going to make sure that the safety catch is doing everything that it needs to be doing. We will be back in a minute. Right, we have finally got to the bottom of this one. I was sort of right with what my theory was. I thought it was a fire control problem, and I was correct. But it wasn't a programming problem. What it actually was, the selector plate has a tiny little magnet on it. And there's a magnetic sensor built into the circuit board, and that sensor must sense that magnet. Now, as most of you know, magnets have got north and south pole. For one reason or another, this particular combination was not seeing the magnet in whichever way round it was. I don't know which it was, whether it was north or south. I don't have the equipment to test that. So we ended up using a black pen, marking the bottom of the magnet, so I knew that was the side that was facing the sensor. Managed to take it out, turn it upside down, popped it back in. Voila! She now works. So It shouldn't have been like that out of the box, but it was. So, hey ho, we have to deal with it. There we go. Right, so, single shot. The gun is now operational. So there we go, a Bago gun that is now operational. Thanks for watching.